to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, feel welcome and feel free to subscribe, comment, like and share this video. Hope you'll enjoy. Today we want to talk about loss and grief, and this will be in relationship to gender-based violence or intimate partner violence. There are stages that one goes through when they go through a loss. Whichever type of loss one goes through, there are 5 stages. And the 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. These stages are attempts to protect us and to help us to process change as we accept a new reality. Not everyone follows the same sequence of stages. Some would skip. The first stage is denial. Denial protects us from the psychological pain following a loss. So it's a very important stage when one goes through a loss. If one has lost a relationship or has received news of their partner being unfaithful or their behaviors that are negative that have not been in the relationship before, then one would go through denial. Statements like, this can't be true, this can't happen to me, maybe the person is just upset, this will go away, it will end very soon, are common. If one is in denial for long and it's being harmful to them, then there is need to seek psychological help. Either see a therapist, see a counselor, or talk to someone about it. So this stage, the denial stage, helps us still function normally despite the loss. However, one would move to the next stage. The next stage is anger, and here reality sinks in. The person feels very angry about the loss. They blame themselves, they might blame others, they feel guilty. This anger may be redirected to others. For example, an ex, in case of separation or divorce, one might say things like, I don't like him, I hate him, he'll regret leaving me. As the anger subsides, one starts thinking straight or rationally, and so their anger starts to go down, and this takes them to the next stage. The third stage is bargaining, and statements like what if only are common. So this stage helps the person postpone the pain, the hurt, and the confusion that they've been experiencing. The person would wish for a second chance or to be in control of what's happening, and for religious people, they bargain with God or a higher power to get a second chance. People will say things like, if you gave me another chance, I'll work for you, I'll never leave you, I'll never disappoint you, Father, I'll do whatever you expect me to do. There are things that they will promise God in return or in exchange for the healing that they would get, or the reprieve that they'll get, support they got their relationship back, or they got a chance to. Sadly, most people don't do all these things that they promise God or they promise the higher power that they are bargaining with once they are done with this stage. Statements like, if I loved her more, we could still be together. If I didn't do this mistake, he wouldn't have hit me so hard. For most people who are going through loss and grief, this is a very dangerous stage. This is where most people go back to violent relationships that they've promised never to go back to. The urge to go back to a violent relationship is very strong at this stage, and so people should be aware of this so that you don't just go back to a relationship because you are feeling like it. It could be because of this stage. I'm aware that the people who've gone back to relationships that they had left before and it worked well for them, so one needs to weigh the pros and cons before going back to a relationship that already left. For people who are going through loss and grief in relationships, or people who have gone through domestic violence, they need to be very aware of these stages so that they don't go back to relationships that will be harmful to them. The next stage is depression. If you find yourself making statements like, why gone after all? Or feel like there's no need to continue with life, then know that you're at the depression stage and you need to be able to talk to someone. This is not the clinical depression that takes one to hospital, and we need to be very kind and sensitive even as we talk to others about seeking psychological support. Depression seems like a quiet stage of loss and grief. However, it can be very overwhelming, and it's the most painful stage for one to go through. And some people can become suicidal at this stage. Social isolation and withdrawal are very common at this stage. A person just wants to be alone. A person who was so happy being out with others just wants to stay indoors, does not want the company of anyone. So it's a very difficult stage. If you could be having someone who is at the depression stage and they don't seem to move on, you can suggest to them about seeing a mental health expert. Do not force them if they are not willing. Like other stages of loss and grief, depression can be difficult and messy, but it's still a very important stage to go through. The last stage is acceptance, and at this stage, one is realizing positive and good things around them. They may say things like, ultimately, this was good for me. Or they may say things like, I'm glad this happened. At this stage of acceptance, it doesn't mean that you are past the loss or the grief. It only means that you now understand what this loss means to your life. If you are going through gender-based violence, or you are already out of a violent relationship and you still need support, you can call 1195 or 1190 or talk to any counselor around. You can also reach me since I'm a psychological counselor. I can write my contacts in the description box below. I can be reached. Thanks very much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, and comment. See you in the next video.